all day, right? Okay. Now, sometimes, before I give it away, you know that the bass can be a small animal, the bass can be a large animal. We've neglected some type of thing that moves around very much. So we certainly don't want to neglect that particular type of animal. You can figure it out on your own. This is a tricky one. I tend to lose my ears in the middle of the song. Okay. Okay. What do you think it is?
A bee.
You're right! The bumblebee! That's right. The bass can be the largest of things or the smallest of things. They're great. They were rehearsing. No fair, right? No, they didn't know. They really didn't. Okay, are we ready? Remember I said the bass can only play very slowly before, right? Yeah, bees are very slow. Bumblebees tire out the bass players. Okay, we have talked about a lot of things. We just finished up a little bit about the bugs and the beasts, and we'll get back to that a little bit after intermission. But I'd like to do something else for you now. We haven't discussed pieces that are written for the bass. Obviously, when you turn on the radio, you don't hear that many bass solos. So most of the time, we have to, as bass players, take a lot of music from other people. Most of the pieces that you've heard today were not written originally for the bass, although I think they're wonderful bass pieces. But there is a piece that was written specifically for the bass. Matter of fact, it was written to be so difficult that it was supposed to be impossible to play on the bass. It's written by Tom Johnson for John DEAK, who is also a composer, and John DEAK plays with the New York Philharmonic. And underneath the name of this piece, which is called Failing, it says, quote, "a very difficult piece for solo string bass." Let's see, how difficult? In Failing, I am required to read a long text while playing music written above the text. The text must be read out loud at a more or less normal pace, and I must not allow the music to slow me down. The task is fairly easy for a while, because there is not much music, and most of it comes at the ends of clauses and sentences, almost like normal punctuation. Later on there is more music, and the task becomes more difficult. So difficult, in fact, that I will probably not be able to do it without either slowing down my reading speed or else making mistakes in the music. At least the composer feels confident that I will eventually begin to run into trouble, which is why he called the piece Failing. So far, the task is still not that difficult, but as But the challenge is that as the piece becomes more difficult, I must continue reading the text at a normal pace and reading the music as well as possible, just as I did at the beginning. By now, I am already rather busy just playing the notes and reading the text, but the text says that I should also try to listen to what I am doing as much as possible and speak loud enough to keep a balance between the speaking and the playing. Ideally, both the speaking and the music should flow easily and naturally so that the audience can follow either element at any time. Sometimes the music has a strong aggressive quality, and I have to speak quite loudly to be heard. At other times, the music is lyrical, almost sentimental, and I must speak more softly so that the speaking will not cover up the music. But I should make sure that the text is always easy to understand. If I allow my voice to fluctuate too much with the rises and falls of the music, the text may become difficult to understand, and that too will be a form of failing, because the text makes it clear that the speaking should always be easy for the audience to understand, regardless of what happens musically. By now, this task is already rather challenging, but I have practiced the piece quite a bit, and that is a fact, as well as simply aligning the text. So unless I'm having a particularly bad day, I can still handle the music quite adequately without having to slow down my delivery of the text. I should be able to keep everything well in tune and play the dynamic markings accurately. If I'm concentrating well, I should be able to maintain a good balance between the speaking and the playing, and remember to make the text easy to understand, even though the mood of the music sometimes changes radically. But soon the music becomes more difficult, and I probably will start failing in one way or another. I should point out, however, that I am not obliged to fail. After all, the audience cannot see the score I'm reading, and no one would be the wiser if I simply were to leave out whatever passages I am unable to play. People might be very impressed by my playing and think that I had succeeded in playing a piece which the composer thought could not be played successfully by any bass player. But of course, by leaving out the hardest parts like that, I'd be cheating, and the performance would really not be a success at all, since the piece is about failing by now feeling is extremely difficult. That is, the piece called Failing is extremely difficult. There are a few moments now and then, but most of the time I'm required to play a tricky chromatic melody to fast beat. But now I am probably beginning to fail in one way or another. Because I don't particularly enjoy failing, sometimes I think it'd be better if I cheated a little, so that I will not fail too badly, and so that people would be more impressed by my playing abilities. But if I tried to fail and then fail, that would be a kind of success and not a failure at all. So I must try to succeed. That way when I fail to succeed, I will succeed in communicating the essence of the piece, even though I will fail to accomplish the task as is set up. In other words, I will not be able to fail unless I'm trying to succeed, and I won't be able to succeed in determining the piece sensitively unless my performance turns out to be a failure. But I should not be failing quite as often as I was before, because the music is returning to some of the more lyrical material. Even that material is difficult to play as expressively as I would like under these circumstances, but at least there is not much danger that I will miss notes, and if I concentrate, I can maintain a good balance between the speaking and the playing. Soon, however, I'll be faced with a fresh difficulty. The text is about to run out, but the music continues for another minute or so. During that time, I must decide for myself what to talk about as I play. My remarks are to be genuinely improvised and should include some specific references to this particular performance and to the degree to which I have been failing or failing to fail or failing to succeed to fail or whatever. As before, I must continue to speak in a normal pace, in a normal tone of voice, and maintain the balance between the speaking and the playing. As an additional challenge, I'm supposed to link the written part of the text so smoothly with the improvised part that no one will be able to tell exactly where the improvised speaking began, regardless of whether you feel I failed or haven't failed in this particular piece. Everyone here has actually listened to an extremely modern piece of music, whether you do it or you didn't. Even my little friends here on my left. Except for maybe that one person in the back who fell asleep, but other than that, I think I've reached most people here. Thank you. We'll now take about a 10-minute intermission, and we'll be back with more beast, bugs, and animals for you. Thank you. Okay, To open up the next part of our program, I'd like you to give a great round of applause to a fantastic piano player, Vytas Baksys. Baksys. All right, Vytas it has a Lithuanian heritage, but he was born in Boston, for those of you who would like to know. Now, if anybody would like to see some of the special effects in this song a little closer on the piano keyboard, you're welcome to temporarily come over to this side of the room, because there are some very special things that Vytas will be doing on the keyboard.
How do you like that?
Thank you very much.
Happen to get near a song, Vytas, play it.
I can't think of the finish.
It's funny, I can't think of anything else.
I need inspiration. Try something else. Just a minute. How was my brother? He got
like a magician.
This is a song from the 20s.
Back in 1900, Flight of the Bumblebee was written as part of an opera. And since we've been talking about composers, we have Vytas, who was playing pieces arranged by Chico Marx back in the 1920s. And now we'd like to move you up just a little bit to the 1960s. This number fits on two levels. We were talking about composers that write pieces, and also we were talking about insects. This following piece was written by Lennon and McCartney that they were part of a group known as the Beatles. So let's go back to bugs for a second here.